Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you how to sew a cloth pad using a free beginner-friendly pattern. First you need to print out 2 copies of the pattern at actual size on A4 paper, and to make sure that this is correct, just match the 1 inch. And then you can just cut out one of the patterns on the outer line. So this will be your sewing line and this is for the topper. And then next you take the other one and you cut out the core. So this would be the inner line that you cut out. And then you'll have your 2 pieces that you need. And then take your topper part of the pattern and trace it on the fabric. In my case I'm using cotton woven, 100% cotton. And then you just cut it out, leaving plenty of room around the pattern. I'm just cutting it a little bit smaller, but still leaving plenty of room around the pattern for sewing and then cutting it out. And then it's time to trace the core. For this pad I am using Reusable's Zorb dimples. Oh, sorry about the shaking. Just cut out the core, and then for core you cut on the line. I always iron the topper just in case, to make sure that there's no creases or anything, so it's nice. And then it's time to put the core onto the topper, making sure it's nice and even everywhere. And then to make sure that it doesn't move while sewing, I am just putting some pins in there to make it all secure. To attach the core to the topper, I am just using a plain straight stitch all around, making sure that I catch the core and just attach it to the topper. Don't be afraid to go slow. You can just go as slow as or as fast as you want. Just make sure that you catch the core, that it is attached to the topper. And then I just cut the threads. For backer, I am using fleece. Put the right sides facing together, and I am just securing both fabrics with some clips. You can use pins too if you want, but I just have clips and they're much easier for me. And then I just cut the bigger fabric smaller and securing the rest of the sides as well with clips, and always making sure that there are no creases or kinks or anything in the fabric, so it's all nice and flush. And then you can sew both fabrics together. I always reinforce the beginning and the end of this, and making sure that I leave a gap for my turning hole, so I can turn the pad inside out. And again, you can go as fast or as slow as you want. And always make sure when you're turning the corners that you leave your needle in for turning. It makes it much easier and neater to turn.
Once I have it sewn all together, I just clip the threads again on both sides. And I'm using my pinking shears to cut around the pattern, making sure I don't cut the threads, just leaving a little bit of fabric around so it wouldn't be bulky when you're turning it. You can use regular scissors as well, that's no problem at all. I just have pinking shears, so I'm using them. And then once I've cut around, I am clipping into all of the inner corners. So there are 4 inner corners that you need to clip in, but do be careful not to cut the threads, otherwise it'll all unravel and you have to redo it. So be careful, but do cut in, because it will make it much easier to turn. It'll be so much neater. And also 8 of the corners here on the wings and on the tops. I think I forgot the top ones to clip the top corners, but you should cut all the corners, otherwise when you're turning it over it'll be very bulky in the corners. And you just turn it inside out. It'll take a bit of wiggling, but once you got the hang of it, it'll be fairly easy. And that's why you need to leave opening for the turning. The bigger the opening, obviously the easier it will be to turn. And I'm just using a big knitting needle, wooden, to press out all the corners, but making sure that I don't rip the fabric or the threads, because that can happen. So do be careful, but you do want to poke all the corners out. And as you can see, because I didn't clip the corners at the end, they will be a little bit more bulky. And once the pad is turned right side out, you want to press it with your iron. I'm doing the inner corners first, because those can be a bit weird, but once you press them down and all the other corners and the tops, it will be all nice and flat. And you can see that cutting into the corners and clipping the corners really does help, and it will look much crisper. And once it's pressed, it's much easier to top stitch as well. Now I am just top stitching all around the pad, leaving a bit of a gap between the edge and the stitching. And the top stitching just gives the pad this extra bit of professional looking finish.
and make sure you do some back stitches when you finish. Now we're almost finished, and I'm just clipping the threads from the front and the back. The last step is to attach the snaps, but when using the awl, please be careful, because I have stabbed myself many times. And I'm using my cam snap press to attach the snaps. And the second snap I am attaching from the fleece side. Again, using my snap press to press the snaps together. And you're all done. You snap it together at the back, and when you're wearing it, you wear the pattern side against your skin. Alright, all finished. Thanks so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.